Well, good evening. Just to wrap up the City Council meeting and the work session for the City of Grand Rapids for Monday, January 22nd. Just want to touch on the work session specifically this evening because we had Representative Lehman and Senator Eichhorn in to talk about legislative priorities for the City of Grand Rapids and actually for the City of Cohasset area. There's two bonding requests in, one for the kids campus at the IRA Civic Center and the Tioga Trails coming out of Cohasset. So with this being a bonding year, we are very hopeful that Representative Lehman and Senator Eichhorn can be successful as they were with the pedestrian bridge a couple of years ago in getting those projects approved for some funding, and that those projects can be successful and go forward in 2018-2019 time period. Once that was done, we did have a review of our 2018 city outcome goals from the council standpoint. As you recall, and I've talked about it many times, we develop our city outcome goals based on our comp plan, and we've had a comp plan that's in place in the City of Grand Rapids for about 5 or 6 years. Starting in June or July of 2018, we will be working on updating that comp plan, and we'll be doing it over a 2-year period, and then we will use that comp plan to develop city outcome goals by department that's specific to helping to move the community forward and what we feel as a council is a positive direction. So more to follow on that, on those outcome goals as we develop them. It's not like it's got to be goals that are in place at the beginning of the year for the council to work on because everything laps over. So we've been working on these comp plan goals and city outcome goals for quite some time, and we're very pleased with the progress we've been making in multiple areas as far as improvements to the City of Grand Rapids. One item on the consent agenda that I just wanted to touch on, we had a business representative in talking about the amount of temporary liquor licenses that was on the consent agenda this evening, 5 for the McRosty and 2 for United Way, and how many times could entity come in and request temporary liquor license in order to have alcohol at their events, and that's something that we do need to be very aware of. I think it was clarified this evening that nonprofit can come in 12 days out of the year or 12 events if it's day-long events and ask for the ability to have a temporary license for those. So we do need to be careful on how and when those permits are issued, that we stay within that 12 time as far as issuing them out. Jeff Davies was in and talked from Public Works standpoint about a street sweeper. It's about a $241,000 machine. Looking at some trade-in and then some use of hopefully the snow blower that we used last year that's we're going to be trying to sell. We're hoping that we can get that cost down where it's a manageable number, but we did move forward with approval of a street sweeper for Grand Rapids. The majority of that comes from stormwater utility fees that help pay for and to keep runoff from going in and making its way to the river and lakes and stuff in Grand Rapids. So that was successful. We had a department head report this evening by our city engineer, Matt Wegworth, talk a little bit about the projects that were completed last year over around the arena, some of those projects, and the new projects for 2018. And those are moving forward. We're going to have one state project in the City of Grand Rapids, so Highway 38. We're not clear yet if it's a 2-inch mill and overlay or if it's going to go deeper, but we're assuming right now that it's a 2-inch mill and overlay, where when they get down 2 inches, they'll take a look, and if there are some specific potholes or deep gouges, they will patch them before then they do that top overlay. So we're very excited. That's been a road that's been real treacherous from the standpoint of potholes and stuff from Highway 2 all the way up to the outside of town over by McKinney Lake. So we're excited that we may have that finally fixed long term for the next 20+ years with this overlay. We talked about the projects up on Northeast Grand Rapids, so the narrowing of, or widening actually of 11th Avenue, but the narrowing of 10th Street and 7th Street, and the impacts there of sidewalk addition to make Grand Rapids a more walkable city. We did have a public hearing this evening where we received both positive and negative impact on sidewalks and how they are used. I think as a result of that, it was a split vote on moving that forward, and I think it was around the sidewalk issue on where do we add sidewalks, and I think the majority of the council felt that in that area with the potential addition of a new grade school up in there, along with the improvements to 11th and a sidewalk along 11th, and then on 7th Street going east and west, that we can get a lot of foot traffic and bike traffic in the future. So it did move forward successfully to approve those projects. So we continue to work on our plans of kids campus and stuff. It wasn't on the agenda, but it was talked about at the work session. That's going to be one of the biggest issues that we face in Grand Rapids this year. We have issues at the arena complex, and we will be trying to address them along with addressing community needs around daycare and boys and girls clubs and arts and culture and ADA accessibility on some of our city-owned facilities, and the issues with refrigerant and leaky roofs that's not compliant from a safety code standpoint at the arena. So that's something you're going to be hearing more and more of as we move into the year. So you will probably be hearing and hopefully forming a positive view on why we as a city feel that that's a worthy project to have tried to get funding from, and that's, as I talked about earlier, the bonding money that the city of Grand Rapids had requested for that project, if successful, would be $8 million plus if we can get it. All monies would certainly be appreciated and helpful in moving that project forward. We will have to do something regardless up there, in that we cannot operate that facility, the roof as is. You know, we're certainly doing it this year, but we're doing it under some strict guidance and stuff from those affected. So with that, we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care and have a good evening.